everyone, and welcome to this episode of Software Success. So, I'm Ashley Jones from Designs and Machine Embroidery, and always happy to be here with you and share my love of embroidery software with all of you in hopes that you will love your software as much as I do. So, here on Software Success, we always talk all things dime embroidery software. We talk about the different features, but also the different pieces of software that we have. We have quite a few options. But my goal is to get you using your software more so that when you have a task in mind, you can do that task by opening your software and accomplishing the steps that it takes to create a beautiful project. So I think sometimes it's easier than we think, but the getting started sometimes is really the mountain that we have to climb and learning the different pieces. So I try to make it as simple as possible. But if you are not new to embroidery software, I also try to make sure that there's something for everyone. So I'm excited to be here with you. And so let's say hi to some of the viewers and see what everybody's up to while we're giving everybody just a few minutes to hop on here. Again, as always, thank you so much for joining, Cynthia Ferris. It's so good to see familiar names. There's so many names that I'm starting to recognize that you guys are here on a regular basis, and I so appreciate your support. And so thank you from me and on behalf of Dime. Without all of you, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do. So thank you so much for being here. So that is Diane from Colorado. Thanks for being here, Diane. So Laura Parks, thank you for joining as always from Lincoln, Nebraska. And so she said she's excited to find out what we learned today. So yes, I'm excited to share with everybody. So Brenda Kahn from Pinkerton, Pinkerington, Ohio. Thank you for being here, Brenda. Nice to see you with us. So Judy Rhodes from Pennsylvania. Glad to see you. Hey, Harriet Ann Palmer. So glad to see you. So Harriet's in Arkansas. My friend Stephanie from Caesar. So thanks for being here too, Stephanie. I know Stephanie's a big proponent of our software as well. So, and my friend Roz Norman from the Pacific Northwest. Thank you for watching, Roz. I just chatted with her a little bit ago. And my friend Bet Cooley. Thanks for being here, Bet. So good to see you as well. So lots of familiar names, and I know that a lot of you use your software already on a regular basis. Hey, Reen, good to see you from Embroidery Gardens. You guys are familiar with Reen. Hey, Jill, I missed you up here. Thanks for being here. Jill is in Alabama. And Chris, thanks for being here from Tennessee. But a lot of you guys use your embroidery software already, and you may be doing minor things with your software, which to me is the best place to start. If you have ever wanted to do more with your software, but you are nervous and you don't know where to start, when you get started with your embroidery, just think of what you might like to do to that one design. Sometimes it might just be just watching the design stitch out on the screen before going to the machine to see which order things are going to stitch in. So just opening it into your software and doing just that one simple task, it'll just get you accustomed to doing those tasks in your software before you get to your embroidery machine. So, hey, Anne, thank you for being here. So from Quilts and Lace. So she is my friend up north, and they are my store that I go to. I love Quilts and Lace. So, and then Angel Corbett, thanks for being here. She said she bought the FX 3 weeks ago. So much to learn, and she's loving the easy 3D foam. Yes, it is super easy to do. So thank you for those kind words for sure. And so Joanne, you guys know Joanne. So let's go sew. And also she said she's digitizing a new design today as well. Now, and speaking of digitizing may seem scary, but really the digitizing is the process of kind of creating your own design from nothing. And we have plenty of ways to do that in our Dime software that it doesn't seem like digitizing. It's really simple, and you can do as much or as little as you want. You can have the embroidery software do the majority of the work, or you can certainly do everything from scratch, placing every single stitch. So there's just a variety of things. So thank you all for being here. So glad to see all of you. And so today we are working on SpecialFX software. our part two. So 2 weeks ago, I started with getting started with the SpecialFX software. So if you own it, it was a way to kind of let you know how it works and what you can accomplish with it. If you do not own SpecialFX, these videos are still a great way to see what it's capable of. But some of the tools amongst all of our software are common. How we select things, how we change colors, how we use the sequence view. So no matter which software program I'm working in, there's a really good chance that you would still learn from what we're doing, even regardless of if you have that particular program or not. So I always love doing that and sharing so that no matter which piece you have or what you're working on, maybe you can pick up a new little task or idea. Now, if you are viewing this week, but you missed 2 weeks ago, that's okay. You can go back and rewatch that as well, and I'll show you where to go back and rewatch any of our Dime live broadcast. And so today, also, if you are new and weren't here last week, this particular program, Special FX, will allow you to easily create designs that have an area of chenille, which is what's in this little duck here. Create plaid embroidery designs just with the click of a button. Embossed embroidery designs. I love that technique. Mylar, where we add mylar film under a layer of stitches to give us some sparkle. 3D foam designs, like you can see this letter. It's got the height on that letter there. And also this particular type of textured fill that mimics those varsity letters you used to see on Letterman jackets. Also an ombre or a gradient type text you can see here, or gradient fill. It doesn't even have to be text. And then adding fringe too. So fringe embroidery is a really fun technique. Now, all of these techniques, I would consider them specialty type embroidery techniques, because it's something that we can do with our embroidery machine that's not just our normal thread it and let it go. And so those are the techniques that this particular software program will do just with a click or two. So Special FX has all of these built-in tools to make that happen just with the click of a button. Now, I mentioned this last week, but I just wanted to start reminding you, and also if we have new viewers, then to let you guys know you are watching right now the Software Success Live, and I do this the first and the third Tuesday of every month, and it's all about software. But you can also check out our Between Friends live presentation on every single Thursday, and Eileen does that 9% of the time. But sometimes I'll fill in for her whenever she is taking a vacation, things like that. But every single Thursday, we have a live, and Eileen is always teaching you a new skill. She uses software, our tools, and of course, teaching you tips on selecting stabilizer thread, things like that. And so it's a really great way to learn about embroidery just by watching both. Now, the replay. So if you missed 2 weeks ago, or if you want to rewatch today's presentation, you can rewatch them either on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. So if you go to either of those, Facebook or YouTube, you want to search Designs and Machine Embroidery. We are Dime. It's short for Designs and Machine Embroidery, but search Designs and Machine Embroidery. It'll take you to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can like us on Facebook, and then you'll be notified of these presentations. Now, if you want to watch the replay of any of those, the easiest way to do it is our YouTube channel, Designs and Machine Embroidery. Click on the playlist option, and it will then give you the videos in playlist, and Software Success and Between Friends are two of those playlists. So it's an easy way to sort through hundreds of hours of videos. So just wanted to share that with you, so you can watch this replay, and the one from 2 weeks ago. I definitely recommend that if you missed it as well. Okay, so let's go over and start playing in our software. So I'm going to click over to my embroidery software now. You guys know that Designs and Machine Embroidery software is inside the embroidery toolshed. So every single program that Dime has created through the years is in the embroidery tool shed program. They're all listed over here in this shopping cart area. And today I am using the embroidery special effects software program. So SpecialFX is going to allow us to create those designs that are just specialty stitches to be able to add a really cool flair to our embroidery. Okay, so let's get started. I'll give you a kind of a reminder of each of these different types, and then we're going to talk about them in detail, some of the ones that we didn't get to talk about in detail last week. So I'm just going to choose this heart, and then I'm going to make, like we did last time, I'm just going to make, let's just do 6 copies here. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to put a space in between just so we can see them. So this is just a shape. And I just used the repeat tool, which is actually in several different pieces of Dime software, and it all works the same way. I selected it, I entered the number of in a row and a number of columns that I wanted, and it allows me to make multiple repeats. And the reason I'm going to do this here is so I can show each of these different techniques just by clicking a button. So there's no stitches involved in this design right now. It's just the shape of a heart. If I look over here in my sequence view, I can see the 0 next to it, and the word artwork lets me know that it's not a stitch design at this point. It is just an artwork shape. Okay, so I can select any of these, and these icons that run across the top close to the left-hand side on the second row, those are all the specialty tools in the SpecialFX software. So if I hover over any of them, and this works for all Dime software, it tells me the type of stitch I'm going to get from that. So varsity fill, that's our fringe tool. You can apply fringe to a shape, plaid, mylar, chenille, embossing, and the 3D foam. And then the prism is the one that I missed in the beginning. So let's click some of these and see what we get. So this is just kind of a repeat from last week. I'm going to click and you can see that this blends 2 colors together. That's our ombre feature. I'm going to select the next one and click. That is our varsity fill. It has a really cool texture that kind of gives you the look of those varsity letters as best we can, because that was done with an actual chenille yarn making loops. And then here, this is my shape that I can apply fringe to. And if I click the fringe, I can apply fringe in rows. I can apply the fringe on the stroke. So I'll just select the stroke, and I'm going to select this little fan. And each of those little elements are little fringe that I would cut and make the thread fringe. Okay. And then I can click one time to apply plaid, tell it what type of stitch I want around the outside. I'm going to do that steel stitch and click OK. And you can see I've got plaid with the satin stitch. And then here for mylar, I click one time and I get a heart that I can put mylar underneath, and it'll show that sparkle through. And then this last one, I need one more heart because this is an embossed design. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So I just copy, paste, and it pastes right on top, and I can resize this much smaller. And I'm going to offset this heart just like this, select both of them, and click my embossed option. And I'm going to leave these settings that I already have here for the stitch around the outside and the width of that stitch, and then the fills, just so you can see it there. So, and that's the embossed option. Now, after I have the design on the screen, a couple of other things light up. So before, with just the artwork, my foam was not illuminated, so I couldn't actively choose it, and neither was my prism. So the prism is a way to add color stops to a solid design. So I've just got the plaid selected here, and I click the prism, and you can see that it changes the colors in that design. And I have all kinds of color palettes that I can choose from. And you can also create your own if you want. And it just adds multiple colors to a single color area or design. And I can also adjust that. I'm going to go to a lighter colorway here. And you can see that as I make the yellow go closer, now I've got more yellow and less blue. and I can do the same thing with the pink and the green. So Prism adds color stops so that we've got multiple colors in a single color design. And the reason it was not illuminated when I had artwork on the screen is because it requires stitches for it to work. All of these others can be applied to artwork or to stitches, but that one needs stitches for it to work. Also, the 3D foam needs stitches for it to work. So I can apply foam under satin stitches. So the only satin stitches on the screen are around the outside of my embossed design here and then the interior heart. So if I click this filter option, I also have them on this heart, I can filter for those types of stitches. So I'm going to say none, and I'm going to say only show me satin, still, and applique, because those are things that I can apply the foam feature to. So I just highlight those, I click OK, and it takes away everything that is not a satin stitch. Now here, even though this is a satin, it's fringe satin, so I definitely would not do the foam under that. But these areas we can. So I can select either or both of these, and now my 3D foam option is active, and I just simply click, and it adjusts the design so that now it has been optimized for putting foam down before I stitch that steel stitch here. So the filter allows me to filter for a certain type of stitches, and it also allows me to show all of those stitches again. So I'm just gonna, now that they're all checked, just say okay and zoom out, and you can see here that now we see all of those. And even though it doesn't look any different, but this has been optimized for 3D foam around those areas there. So that's the basis of getting started with the the SpecialFX software. And we talked about these in detail last time 2 weeks ago, but today I want to talk about some things we didn't necessarily get to do, which was kind of apply several of these to some different designs. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new page, and let's start by creating a design. So this time I want to actually apply these techniques to creating a design. So you don't just see it in the heart shape, you can actually see that in a design. And before I go on that, I did create this little example here. So we saw the prism, which are color stops, the ombre. Let me go back to my design. Now look at the ombre. So the ombre is blending two colors together, and the prism is creating color stops. And so let me create another heart here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this one, and I'm going to just right mouse click, and I'm going to convert that just to a regular, well, I want it to be a regular complex fill, but I need to go to my artwork first. So let me turn it into artwork, and then I'm going to right mouse click and then go to convert to and complex fill. And now you can see that this is just regular stitches, whereas the one next to it has those two blended colors. So let me show you this really quickly before we go on to that other page. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show is the difference. So you can see that these two colors are blended together. This is the blue and the red blended together. And if I select a different color down below, like for instance, say the yellow here, it's going to blend this pink color. So I can right mouse click on the yellow, and it's going to blend yellow and pink. But this is just a solid color. So if I change it, it's just one color. If I select this and click on the prism option, it's making a multiple color design. Now it's also going in the direction of my fill stitches. So let me show you that as well. Oh, that's kind of cute with the yellow kind of gone. You can change the direction to get a different look as well. So you can see how my stripes are running kind of at a 45. That's because my fill stitches are running at that 45 angle as well. So if we zoom in, you can tell that they're running at that 45-degree angle. So now let me zoom back in here, and I'm going to change the angle by selecting my shape tool, clicking on my heart, and then just clicking and dragging and it changes the direction of my stitches there. So now when I click my prism option, you can see my color changing is more vertical based on the direction in which my stitches are going. Okay, so prism is adding a definite color stop, and the ombre is blending two colors together. Now, the thing about prism is you can apply it to anything that is stitches. So I can also apply it to my ombre fill and watch the difference in what happens. So if I click the prism, now look at my colors. They're not just solid stripes, they are blended colors. You can see my pink and purple are blending here together. It looks like the blue and the green blended together, and then the blue and the yellow are blended together here. So if you click prism after ombre, you're going to get prism ombre. Isn't that cool? If you click prism after plaid, you're going to get prism plaid. If you click prism after this satin or steel stitch, you're going to get prism steel stitch. Okay. And you can also apply it to a run stitch as well. Okay. So that's the difference between the two. So let me go over now. This will make more sense here. I created this little file for you so that we could see the difference. I love having multiple colors in a design. And take a look here. I've got some text up here. It says ombre applied to a fill stitch. That's what I was trying to convey here. And you can see as I zoom in the color blending from ombre. Okay. So this is ombre applied to a fill stitch. This here is prism applied to a fill stitch. And you can see I get those definite color changes. I did not blend it before I did the prism. So this was just prism applied to this fill stitch. And you can see the variation in that color that we get there on that bottom half. I didn't do any to the top part. And now let's scroll over. Another way to get variation in color is through a variegated thread. Now this has nothing to do with SpecialFX, but it's a way to get multiple colors in a one color area. So I just wanted to share that with you. A variegated thread, if I click on my color palette here, you can see all of my color chips have several colors. Those are multiple colors in one spool of thread. So if you use that one variegated spool, it kind of gives me this look because the thread color is changing as I stitch, whereas these others, let me scroll back over here, this is definite different color. These are solid colors of thread that the machine will stop, and then I will put those different color thread in my machine. And here, this is two colors of thread blended together. Okay. So now let me zoom out here again. I know it's hard to read when this is really small, but I'm talking about ombre being applied to a fill stitch, prism to a fill stitch, and then variegated thread. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here and we're going to talk about ombre being applied to a satin stitch. You cannot do ombre to a satin stitch. Ombre needs a fill stitch. Okay, so I cannot even apply it. But I can apply prism to a satin stitch. Look at this little leaf that we have here, and you can see that this is multicolor, and it was one single color to begin with. So if I select it and click my prism option, I just chose a combination of greens, and then you can see here that I can move that along that satin stitch there to get a multiple color rather than just having a single color design, which would be almost like this. Okay. So prism allows me to put those color stops, and then I'll put a different color thread. So what I did was I just adjusted these sliders so that I kind of get, it to stop like right when the leaf finishes, so that I just have some color changing, which, we know our plants, not every single leaf is the same color. So sometimes it's kind of nice to have those variations like that. Okay, so that's prism to a satin stitch. If you used a variegated thread on a satin stitch, then you're most likely going to get something that has kind of this stripe effect, because the color of the thread is changing colors every so often. So it's doing a certain number of stitches, and then the thread color changes, and then it does that next set of stitches during that length. So you'll get a look like this. Okay, so variegated thread has nothing to do with SpecialFX embroidery software. It's a way that you can purchase a spool of thread if you don't already have some and put it in your design. Now, let me go to the run stitch. This is my favorite. So ombre, remember, needs fill stitches. You cannot apply ombre to a run stitch. It needs a fill stitch. So I can't even show that here, but I can apply prism and I can use a variegated thread in a run stitch design. So look at the difference in what you're getting here. So if I apply prism to a run stitch design, then you can see that it's added those color stops. And I'm going to select this and hit that prism icon here. And then you can see that this has various colors. Let me choose one that's significantly different so you can see all the different colors there. So you can see as I scroll here, my design is changing with those colors as I move my slider. Now I chose the color combo. So all of these color combos that are built in that you see here that say color play, they actually match our color play sets. So I specifically chose the color play set that is called Fresh. And we actually have a variegated thread that matches it. That's why I chose that one. So you could see the same exact colors, but in two different ways. Now, if you have the variegated thread, this is one thread spool, and you can see here, let me zoom in, how it changes as the thread changes. So I just wanted to share the difference because there's lots of things going on with color changing. And so I wanted you guys to be aware of the difference. So color play, or not color play, sorry, our the prism will do a color stop, and it can be applied to any stitch type. And then the ombre fill is blending two colors together, and you absolutely need a fill stitch in order to do that. So just wanted you guys to understand the difference in all of those different ones. So, okay, so now let's go on. I want to make a this cute little design here, the sunflower with these fringe leaves. So we'll make that. Let's see if we have any questions before we make that design. But I wanted to apply some of these features to designs in specific. So you'll see like an actual design being created. So, okay. So, oh, hey, Lori. Lori's on vacation, but she's watching Software Success. So, hey, Lori, she's probably sitting on the beach watching this as we speak. So thank you for joining, Lori. You guys know her. She's a very important part of our education team here. So, and then I see my friend Eileen Reichert had a question. She said she saw in the lower right design panel that you have SFX folder with designs. So did I create that? Yes, I did. So what I do to kind of keep my demonstrations separate, I sort them by the programs that I'm using, just so if I get questions, which program that I used, I will be able to easily say that. So you don't have to do that because, of course, you're using all of your features together. So I just created a folder called SFX, and I put all my designs in there that I create from the SFX software. It just helps me stay organized since I'm always sharing with you guys, different designs. So that's a really, really good question. So, and it's easy to make a design folder there in your folder just by right clicking and adding folders. So I'll show you that when I go back over there. So, and then Visionary Creation says that she's waiting for her birthday money to buy SpecialFX. Yay. Well, I hope your birthday is soon. And whenever that is, happy birthday to you. That is a great birthday gift for sure. So, and then Cynthia says she'll have to try the new software. Absolutely. And that's actually another good point too, is if you don't own the software that I'm using, you can do a free trial for any dime software that we have. And I'll head back over there since I don't see any other questions there. If I missed your, oh, here's one more. So, and so the, can you make one color predominant? So what you could do, Catherine, I think she was talking about maybe the prism. So you can do the sliders. And so you can actually do those sliders so that you've got a large area of a certain color. But what I also do sometimes is I will create multiple color chips that are the same color of a color that I really want to be prominent. So let me head over. That's actually a really good question. Let me head over and show you that, and then I'll talk about too how to create the folders over there. So okay, so in the prism, if you wanted to create a folder, and you can see, look, I could even apply, this is my fringe that we're going to talk about here in a minute, and you can see that it'll apply it to anything, and that's a varsity fill in the center, and you can see that I can adjust this. So if I wanted, say, like, you know, my leaves to all be yellow, I just keep going until they all are the yellow color, and I can even move this one over and keep going there. So you can make a prominent color by doing the slider, but you can also create your own color palettes. And here you can see that I've got a color palette. I just put my initials in front of it just so I know which ones I created versus the ones that came with the software. But here you can see that I just created a blue and white, and I did that specifically for a particular design. But this would allow me to have like a ton of blue. So I could do that as well. Or when you create your own design, so I'm going to click my edit option, the little pencil, and you can see how I have one white, one blue, one white, one blue. I could also just add multiple blue chips. So I could just say add that blue, and I could keep adding the same color so that I've got lots of those, and you can see those down at the end there. So yes, you can create those to be, you know, your predominant colors, whatever you want them to be. And if you don't like what you created, you can always go back and then you can remove colors and add colors. You know, however you'd like, you can move them up and down in the sequence with these two arrows here. So, and I'm going to say, okay. And then I'm going to say cancel because that's kind of a funky looking sunflower, right? Okay, so now that folder that Eileen was asking about. So this is my folders over here. So this little book icon, this actually is a link to a folder on your computer called Designs. Now I can add anything to Designs that I want by doing a right mouse click and say New Folder. So I created this folder called AJ Designs, and then I usually organize things based on the different types of events that we do and the different software. And so I just created a folder there called SFX. So you just right mouse click, you say New Folder, and I'm just going to call this test. And then whenever I hit my enter key, then it'll create that test folder for me there too. And that works in any Dime software. So that's a lesson for any of you that own any Dime software. You can right mouse click, and then you can say new folder, you can delete a folder, and you can even rename a folder here as well. So, and then you've got some other things here that we'll talk about. I don't want to overwhelm you with all of this at once, but that's an easy way to add folders. And then also over here in my shopping cart area, this lists every piece of Dime software that we have. So if you don't own the SpecialFX software program, if it does not have a check mark next to it, when you open up your embroidery tool shed, go to your shopping cart and click on this ellipsis option here. And when you click on that, you'll see I only have manual and tutorial because I own the SpecialFX, but you will have an option that says try. And you can click that and it will allow you to play with all of these features just like you owned it. The only thing you can't do is save it. So whenever you get done playing and you decide, hey, that's a program I'd like to have, and then you would just activate it and it adds all your features in your embroidery tool shed. So, okay, so let's play and make this design here. And I've got a couple of others that I was going to make for you as well. And so Eileen said, custom prism palette, can you have more than 4 colors? Yes, Eileen, you may have asked that before I went in there, but notice my blue and white palette, I had 6 colors, and you could keep adding. Honestly, I don't know what the limit is. I haven't reached that yet, but you could keep adding colors to your palette, you know, even more than the 6 that I created. That's entirely up to you. So, okay, so to make our sunflower, I used one of the built-in frames. Remember when I talked to you guys a couple of weeks ago, these techniques can be applied to frames or to built-in designs or even text. So we're going to use a combination of those. So I'm going to click my frames. These are all just like the heart that we use. These are no stitches. They're just an artwork shape. And under the flora, I just use this little sunflower here. Now I could immediately turn this sunflower into different types of stitches. I could make this be a plaid center, which is super cute. And I could undo that, and I could apply, you know, a mylar here if I wanted to. It could be chenille. Chenille would be really good for the center of that design. But what I did was I applied the varsity fill. The varsity fill is a texture that I thought would mimic the inside of the sunflower seed, you know, after the seeds are gone into the sunflower, where it just kind of is a rough looking texture. And if we watch this stitch out, so this is our slow redraw. Every dime software has slow redraw. You click it, and then you can move this slider, and you can see exactly how this is going to stitch out when you get to your embroidery machine. And you can see that it does a fill stitch, and then it does this texture on top of it, you know, with the next stitch that stitches. So I thought that was appropriate for the center. Now for the base here, we could do any of these others. So I think Mylar would be good here, which is super cute. If I do my undo key because I changed my mind, maybe I want this to be plaid. Let's see how plaid does in these smaller areas. When you click plaid, this box pops up here and it gives you choices. The outline, it's telling you to select what type of stitching do you want for that outline. Do you want it to be a still, which is our satin stitch that's all the same length? Do you want it to be a bean, which is a triple run or a 2-ply or a regular run? And then click OK, and it applies that type of stitch. Now, it puts it in a different color because I can actually go over here to my sequence view and I can select that outside stitch because I selected run stitch, but say I change my mind and I really would prefer it to be a steel stitch. I could just select it and then click the steel option on the toolbar. But look how close those are if I do that outline. So I think I'm going to stick with my run stitch. I like that. Okay. Now the plaid, I could leave this. And last week we touched on this just briefly, but your plaid has the ability to be adjusted over here in your properties area. When you select any portion of your design, it'll bring up the properties that relate to that design over here in this area. So when I click on the plaid one, you can see that I get this. It says it's type plaid. And I have the cross pattern selected, but I can switch it to diagonal or even diamond. And you can see it change the direction of my plaid, and I can choose the stitch length. I can choose the density, which you can see how it's kind of open. If I increase the density, you can see how my plaid gets even more open because the larger the number, the more space between the stitches. And if I go lower, you can see that it gets much darker because the stitches are closer together. So I'm going to do an undo and an undo again back to the regular density. And then I can also change here the width and the spacing between the plaid rows. So, and for here, since our stem is so skinny, I probably would do something a little more narrow to fill in that area. So let's say we do like a 3mm and click apply, just see what it looks like. And I think that that's pretty good. And if I put it closer together, it'll actually fill in more area. So let's put it 2mm close together and look at that. And I think that looks nice in the stem. Isn't that cute? Oh, I just love it. And then you've got options down here for multicolor. If you click the multicolor and click apply, it'll put your plaid in 2 colors. So if you click on any of the color chips below, it will take on the first color that you select and the second color. So if I right mouse click on the green here, you can see that it's green and orange right now. If I right mouse click on the green, it's now green and brown. And I can go here to this brown color chip number 7 and make it maybe a darker green. So now it's going to be a light green and a dark green. And let me select the dark green first and do that again. And then now you can see it's purple and green. Let's put a light green on the other side of it and see what it looks like. And I kind of like the other one better. So this one is dark green is the base color and the light green is the plaid over top. And if I select the light color green like that, then my dark green is the second color. And I kind of like how that looks as well. And my orange outline, I'm going to actually do the green as well. Okay, so now the color changing. This is something that works in every software, and I get this question a ton. I am selecting that part of the design and I'm doing a right mouse click to select that color. So let's do our centerpiece here because we can see that really well. So I select it, and then down below, any of these color chips that you see, you can do a right mouse click and it changes the color of the object you have selected to the color that you right mouse clicked on. So I'm going to go back to our brown. I'm going to right mouse click. Okay. Now, another way to change this color is to select it and then left mouse click on the color chip and change that color chip. So I've got the brown selected, but maybe I don't want it to be this dark. Let's choose a little bit lighter brown. Okay. So I changed the color chip color by clicking with my left mouse click. I assign this to a different color chip by doing a right mouse click. We get that question a ton. And so I just wanted to clarify with that. So, and I'm going to do an undo because, well, I really like that dark brown that we had. There we go. Okay. So now for the edge, those of the flowers, the little petals, these are all artwork. So I could certainly apply some of these different techniques to them. But what I really think would be cute is if they were fringe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these because I'm not going to use the artwork. And this is what I'm left with. So I'm going to go to my fringe tool, which fringe tool means that any of these elements, I can select one of them and I can apply it to my design. So I'm going to select this fringe leaf, click OK, and then click one time on my workspace. And there is my fringe leaf. And I'm going to just straighten it up so it's a little straighter. So what I did for my sunflower, and I'm just rotating it, I want it to be kind of straight there, is I used my circle tool. Now the circle tool, if I click on that with this object selected, you have to have the object you want to put in a circle selected, and it puts it on a carousel like you see there. And really, I wanted the narrower end out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my rotate here and rotate it the opposite direction, and then click my circle. Now, I could have changed that down here, but to me, it's just as easy to put it in that orientation, and then I've got it where I need it here. Okay. And then now you're going to make the adjustments that you want to get the look that you're going for. So the center of that is about a 2-inch area. So I'm going to say 2.5 inches for our circle and click apply. And then I'm going to make more petals. And because this is fringe, we're going to cut this and it's going to fray. So I'm going to do a little bit of overlap, and that's perfectly fine. It's not going to cause any issues. Those satin stitches are going to slip right in the middle of the other satin stitches. And you can play around with these options here too. The auto rotate, you can see what it does, and we definitely want that checked. And the auto resequence by color is going to put all of these like colors together so that I only have one color stop. Okay, and I'm fine with doing that because we're really going to change it all to yellow when it gets on the screen anyway. So I click OK, and I'm just going to move that to be center over my center there. And then I'm going to do a right mouse click on my yellow to change everything yellow. Is that not cute? Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I got to stitch that one out. Sometimes I love designing, but I'm like, I don't know. But that one, I think we got to stitch that out. Isn't that cute? All right, so let's see if we have any questions before we see the next thing. So I see we have lots more questions now. So let's start. I think, Catherine, we answered this one. So app for the confusion. So she said, can you make one color, prominent and ombre? And so you can't change what blends. Thank you for the clarification, Catherine. You can't change where it blends, but you can, if you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, you can actually change the blend. But what you can change is which color shows on top and bottom, and that's the one that's on top is the one you're going to see more of because it's going to blend with the second one. But if you want to really get to adjusting your ombre, that's a feature that we have in Perfect Embroidery Pro. SpecialFX is for the I just want to click and get stitching, like I'm ready to play, you know, like I just want it to be easy. So, and April, thank you, I always love seeing you here. And she says, can you use the built-in designs with an effect of on an idea and sell it if these effects only for personal use? Okay, so the effects, you can use those. You can create these effects and sell them. The built-in designs, though, you can't apply an effect and sell that because it's still that original design. And so the built-in designs really are for personal use, or you could stitch that design on, say, a shirt, and you could sell the shirt, but you cannot resell the designs that are built into the program. But if you apply the effect to something, then certainly you could sell the design that you created, like say from an artwork or something like that. So yeah, very good question. And then Talyn says, in plaid option, when I add the text words, I can't seem to be able to make any adjustments like the direction. I think I know what you're dealing with here. So I'll go back over and show you that in just a bit. So how close together in the properties box. So yes, when you select text and then you apply a feature, it has to take that shape of those letters, like say you've got an H and an I. When you apply the effects, it is no longer a text object. It is now an H shaped design and an I-shaped design. And so do everything you want to edit before you apply the effect, and then that way it's converting it to basically that shape. And that's a really good question. I'll show you what I mean by that, because some other people might not understand what that question is, but that is a really good one. So, and then April says item, not idea. I meant, yeah, I figured you meant that too, April. Yeah, if you stitch it on an item, you can sell the item, but you cannot resell the design. So thank you for clarifying that. So, and then she also said, I have no problem with the artwork. And so, so yeah, easy to add to the artwork, but then it converts it to an artwork shape. You're no longer a text object, but I'll go over and do talk about that as well. So, and then Cindy says, can you alter the order of the color chips on the bottom? Yes, you absolutely can. And so what I would recommend doing is you can create whatever order you like, and then you can save that palette. And I'll show you that too whenever we go back over. That's another good question. So can you use more than 2 colors? So if you're talking about the ombre delu, no, you can only blend 2 colors, but you can prism a bunch of colors. So if you blend and then prism, then you're going to get a bunch of more blends, and you could always move those sliders to help you with that. But blend is 2 color gradient, and then the prism you can apply to that. So thanks for joining, Tammy. You guys know Tammy from our education team too, and so thank you so much for being here. And then Marianne says she loves the sunflower. Thank you so much, Marianne. And then Deborah Tompkins says, how would you add a satin stitch border to the varsity fill center? Very good question. I'll do that too when we go over. So the varsity fill does not have a built-in stitcher on the outside. And the reason is because it's a very rough texture. And so if you add a satin stitch to the outside of that, your satin stitch is not going to be smooth where it overlaps that varsity fill. But I'll still show you how to do it, because regardless of what I think, you might like the look of that. So I'll show you how to do that as well. That's another good one. Oh, lots of questions popped up already. So, and then Irene, thanks for being here. Irene, good to see you as always. She said, can all of these things be done in PEP? So PEP is our software, Perfect Embroidery Pro. That's what it stands for. And yes, you can digitize any of these things manually in Perfect Embroidery Pro if you know how to digitize them. The one click option is part of SpecialFX only, but you can manually digitize any of the things that we're doing in Perfect Embroidery Pro. So that's what Perfect Embroidery Pro is all about. So, and then Catherine says to stop it, the color chips changing brands, etc. I put in Kingstar metallic changes to Genome when I close the program. Maybe it needs to be set in your options, Catherine. So let's talk about that as well. Okay, so let's go over and answer some of those questions because some of those actually are based on all of our software, so it might help you. So Catherine, try under Tools and General Options and set your default color palette here. You can see mine is set to Exquisite, but you certainly can change it to whatever. But whatever the design is digitized in, it's going to come in that color palette, you know, most likely anyway. But if you want to change it, then you can click on the change color palette here, and then you can switch the brand here. So right now, these are all exquisite colors. So I could click to switch them all to Isocord if I wanted to. And then now they're all Isocord thread colors as close as it can match. Okay. And the other thing about changing the order of these, what I would do is I would create your own palette. So if you click on a blank page and click the minus, you can see it goes down to just one color chip, and you could change that color. So say you don't like that blue and we want to change it, and then you could click add, this plus key at the bottom right here, add a color, and then I would change that color chip to what I wanted it to be, and then click add, and you create your own color palette here. And then what I would recommend doing is over here to the right, these three dots that are vertical, click that and say make current default. That's going to make the color palette that you have right now set as your default color palette. So every time you click a new page, that's what would come up. So that's the other thing that I would do there. Okay, so let's go back to our sunflower and talk about that satin stitch around the edge. So if you wanted to put a satin stitch around the edge of this, what I would do is I would copy and paste this. So if I copy it, paste it, now I've got two on top of one another. But this one, I'm going to convert it to artwork, and then I can convert that to a still stitch. Now I could have just gone straight to the still stitch. So I'm going to do an undo. I could have gone straight to a still stitch with this varsity fill, but I know that there are some of these techniques that have different layers of stitching, like our plaid that has the run stitch around the edge, the mylar that has the placement stitch. So I always recommend, unless you are 100% sure you know you can go from one type to the next, to go back to artwork first so that it doesn't add any unnecessary stitches. So I'm going to do an undo, and then now we are back to just our one center. And so over here, my sequence view, you can see when I copy and I paste that one, it pastes the second one. This second one, I'm going to click to turn into the steel stitch. And then I'm going to click here to say bring that to the front or move it to the front. And so now I have that satin stitch around my my varsity fill there. And like I said, you want your satin stitch to have a little overlap so that it doesn't pull away. So you may see that the edge of your satin stitch does not look as smooth because it's stitching over that textured stitch, but you certainly can do that if that's the look that you're going for. So another really great question. So, okay, so we did the satin stitch. I was just looking here for the, I thought there was one other question. We talked about altering the color palette and then the plaid option in the text. Okay, let's go do that. Okay, so I'm going to do a new page here. Let's work with a built-in design. Okay, so I'm going to click my design library. All of these built-in designs here, you can use and convert them to these different types of stitching. So I'm going to do this football. It's almost this season, right? It's almost football season. And so I'll use this one as my example, and then we're going to add some text to be able to answer Taylin's question or Talin's question. And if you're using a built-in design and you want to apply these techniques to it, each of these techniques can be applied to a fill stitch Um, except for the foam needs a satin stitch, which we can do right here. So that's a really good example of that. And then the prism can be used on any type of stitch. Okay. So I'm going to filter for the type of stitches that I'm looking for. So if I click my filter icon, I'm going to click none and it will uncheck everything. And then I want to filter for anything that's a complex fill and click OK. And now any of these areas I could apply these different techniques to. So you know how the leather on the ball kind of is bumpy, so that varsity fill might look cute there. Because of the shine that we get from Mylar and the shine from the leather, this might all look good as Mylar. So then I could do that and click my Mylar icon and it converts everything to Mylar. And honestly, I don't love that. And I think that it's a personal preference. It might look cool whenever I have it stitched out, but not my favorite. I probably would leave it regular stitches and then just apply a couple of specialty techniques. Okay. So now let's do the filter and let's do none again. And for foam, we can apply it to satin, still, or applique style stitches. Click OK. And I can select all of that. And you can see now my foam, 3D foam, is active. All I have to do is click it one time. And now I can put my 3-dimensional embroidery foam down, stitch those laces, and I've got a raised look. And then now I'm just going to click my filter and turn everything back on. Okay. So now let's add some text. Okay. So I'm going to choose my text tool so that we can answer that question. And I'm just going to put, I'm going to say game day and click apply. And now what the question was about after I apply the effect, then I can't go back and change my spacing and stuff like that. Okay, so there's my text. And what that is referring to is when you have a text object. So if I look over here in my sequence view and scroll down, and this is actually true for any dime software that has a built-in text or true type text, whenever you convert it to something different and it's no longer a text object, you don't get these same type of behaviors. So let's talk about what we get when it's a text object. Okay, so now right now it's a text object. I'm going to click on my text tool again, even though I'm not entering text, but I want those shapes to reappear. Okay, so I selected my text tool. These double triangles allow me to change the spacing between my letters. Okay, I'm going to do an undo. The diamond allows me to select just one letter and I could rotate it. I could also resize it. Okay. And I also can adjust these outside shapes as well, making it larger, smaller, whatever I need to be. Okay. I can also go over here and change my text easily because it's a text object. I'm going to change to a different type of text. So impact, let's do something a little more varsity looking. Oh, that's kind of cute. I'm just playing here. These are my true type text. And so I really like that one. I use this one a lot. This is a true type text that I own. You may not have the same exact one. Everybody's true type text list is different because they're the ones that are on your computer. It depends on what you've installed. Okay. And so now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to delete day. I'm going to say just game by itself. And then we'll put a separate one. I'm just going to copy and paste this one and use that to say day. So game day, so that I could put it underneath the design here. So now I have two different ones. Now when we use this, and I'm going to shape this a little bit. I'll give you a text, a little bit more text lesson. So we have these built-in envelopes. If you do a right mouse click with text on the screen, with your text tool selected, sorry. So your text tool selected and you've got text on the screen. When you right mouse click, you'll see that we have envelopes and these will easily put your text into this shape. So I'm going to do concave and that's kind of cool. But I can even exaggerate it so that it kind of follows along my football a little better, kind of like that maybe, and maybe even more. And so those envelopes, if you have a text tool built in, you can use those built-in envelopes. So with the text tool selected, you're going to do a right mouse click on your text and envelope, and then choose which one of these shapes that you want. So I'm going to do this bridge this way. and then just kind of exaggerate that a little bit more like that. Bring the center down so that it kind of follows the shape of my football there. That's kind of cute, right? And then I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to use my horizontal center align, and it's about to make a mess, but I just want to show you this example. Okay, so you see how it lined everything up. So do your undo key, select just the football parts. So if I hold down my control key or my shift key, I can select a bunch of them and group that together. Then it's going to keep that all as one object. So I'm going to select everything and then click center. Okay, so now notice here I've got two text objects. So I'm going to make this one purple. I don't know. My alma mater is purple and gold, so I'll use purple and gold. That, like that. And then I can see that they are still a text object. But look what happens when I apply plaid. I'm just going to leave it as a run stitch outline. And now it is individual letters, because now this is an object that is shaped like a G. It doesn't see it as text anymore. And to adjust this, what I need to do is ungroup this. So I'm going to ungroup all of that. And now when I select just the plaid, I get my plaid properties here. So I'm going to hold down my control key and I can select all of my plaid, because I might want to make this a little bit smaller like we did with the leaves, so that it fits in my letters a little better, just like that. And then for the day, notice here it's still text object, but if I click to turn that into plaid or any of these other different types, it has to make it an object so that I can then apply that type of stitching to. Okay, so, and then I ungrouped it so that I could select just the plaid, because let me show you. If I undo, let me group it together. So if I group it together, notice that I don't have, well, I must have not had them all selected. So here and here and here. So group, well, I'll just do an undo. It's not playing with me like I want to be, but see how this is grouped? It's actually grouping the plaid with the outline together so that it's easier for you to work with. And so the plaid here, if I want to get to the plaid, I just do an undo or an ungroup. And then now I have the plaid and the outline so that I can get to the plaid settings and make those changes just to the plaid like that. Okay, so really it's just kind of knowing, you know, what you're looking at and what you're working with there. So isn't that cute? And so I would need to ungroup these and select just the plaid. And now I don't even remember what I chose. Diagonal, I think that was like 4 and 2 or something like that, and click apply so that they're the same. So isn't that cute? So there's your design for football season. So all right. So let's see if we have any questions before we talk about what you guys are going to see next time. So I'm just going backwards here. And Irene says she recently purchased the My Block Piecer and she's loving it. Oh, I love My Block Piecer. One click piece in the hoop makes it easy. And then Marianne said SpecialFX is such a fascinating program. Wonder what it can't do. It definitely has a lot of things that it certainly can do. So, and then my friend Ross is so fun. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate that. And then Talyn says, thank you for the, that really helps. So, and I bet that'll help more too. I know that a lot of you guys, sometimes you probably have questions and you forget to ask or can't think of it when we're doing this. So, and then Ellen says, are you able to change individual color chips to a different brand? Yes, absolutely. Whenever you click a left mouse click and then choose from the drop down to a different color brand and then click on the color chip, and that'll do it. So you left click on the color chip, choose the brand at the top, and then select the color. We'll do that. So really good questions today, guys. So I'm glad to have you all here with me as always. So now let's just talk about about what's coming up. And so special FX today. So if you don't have it or you want to try it, make sure you play with the free trial. You certainly can do that. And then remember I said we have 2 different types of lives. So this Thursday, join Eileen on our YouTube channel, either Facebook or YouTube live, Thursday at 2 p.m., August the 22nd. And she is going to be talking about getting center chest embroidery and using HTV. And so hooping tips, stabilizer selections on different neck shapes of shirts. So join her this Thursday, August the 22nd, to learn more about that. And then I went backwards, sorry. And then in a couple of weeks on September the 3rd, I will be back here for Software Success. And I am going to start doing, I've gone through every piece of Dime software now, and I'm going to start doing features. So if you've got this feature in yours, then I'll be talking about that feature. And this feature that I'm going to talk about on September the 3rd is custom buttonholes and also removing overlapping stitches. And so you can see that I removed the stitches behind my buttonhole there, but I'll also talk about removing overlapping stitches in appliques, which we've done before, but we'll talk about that again. And then also over fill designs and when you need to and when you don't need to remove overlaps. So that's our topic and our feature that we're going to be working with September the 3rd at 1 p.m. Central. So join me back here on our YouTube and Facebook Live. So if you don't have the Special FX software, I always urge you to check with your local Dime dealer, and they could probably make you a great deal. Not only that, but when you purchase local, you've got a person that you can go to and ask questions face to face, which I think is invaluable. But also, if you don't have a dealer near you, you certainly can purchase from our Dime website at any time and take advantage of all of the free opportunities that we have for education. So, so take a look at that at dzgns.com if you want to, and you can also try it as well. So, okay, so I think that's a great place to stop. So I will let you guys all go for now, and thank you so much for joining this week's Software Success. It's always a pleasure to be here and share my love of software with all of you. And so until I see you next time, bye for now.